Hello and welcome to the Student StarCraft AI Tournament Weekly Broadcast. This is Nightcat coming back at you again with another episode of some exciting games here between the AIs, the custom-built AIs of the Brood War scene, playing against each other in addition to playing against humans sometimes. So, starting us off today, we have Stardust spawning as the red Protoss up at the top right of Benzene, with Crazio spawning as the opponent down in the bottom left, the purple Terran. Benzene was on the map pool actually for the last ladder season of StarCraft, if I'm remembering correctly. Not my funnest map to play on, I think, but it's a map that's definitely been around for quite some time. You do have the low ground natural with the high ground main, somewhat wide choke here, and also kind of long, right? Because there's just like this the choke, I'd say, like, is really starts here and then it just kind of goes along this way, where there's also this high ground here that could kind of be potentially used. We do have the scouts coming in house. Stardust is getting that scout in. Let's get this production tab open. There we go. And Crazy's just going to go ahead and chase it around with the worker a bit. Stardust doesn't seem to care about Crazio's worker. That zealot is like, I am not moving. You cannot make me do that. Meanwhile, the core is just finishing up now, so Dragoons will be able to come out and either chase that SCV away or go ahead and pick it off. And there we do see range is now spinning up for the Protoss player here. Factory on the way for Crazio, so it doesn't look like anything too crazy here. We've got a good looking wall here. Machine shop coming down, so it looks like it will be a siege expand. Marines constantly on patrol. I think that probe that was in here from Stardust either got caught or managed to get out before the wall was complete. Now we do have a few Protoss units here marching across the map. Also, just as a quick note, I hope my audio quality is a bit better. I tweaked the filters that I was using a little bit, so hopefully the quality will come out a little bit better. It sounded better in a test recording that I did, so we will see. Let me know in the comments below. Honestly, I appreciate feedback about that sort of thing. So we did have siege mode is complete here, so there is a shot off on the Protoss units, and with siege mode, they're just going to go ahead and sit back, and I like this. They're not, like, constantly dancing. Oh, and Crazy actually positioning a tank all the way over here to get some shots off. I was going to say, I like that when there was a siege shot, like, they were just standing stationary, keeping guard, but that siege shot kind of threw them off a bit. We gotta pick off a few of the Marines here. But, I think a second factory went out. So actually, yeah, this is a 2 factory, not a siege expand. That was my mistake there. I thought Crazy was going to go for that fast expand, but instead is going for this aggressive build here with the 2 factories. We do have more Dragoons on the way, but Dragoons, they can dive on tanks. I think it's like 6 shots or something like that to take out a tank. So once you get enough Dragoons, you can start taking them out kind of quick. But there is a large number of tanks here. We've got 5 tanks and a couple of vultures here, with the Marines having been picked off. So I think Stardust at this point just kind of creating this arc, trying to slow down Crazio's push, which it's doing a pretty good job of doing. This is taking some time here to get across, and this is going to, although Stardust is bleeding some units doing this, but it gives Stardust time to build up more of an army. Meanwhile, Stardust is actually taking some bases here. 3 bases, just starting up a 4th at the mineral only. So Stardust is really going for like this sort of mass expand here, and I don't know if that's the best move, given that Terran is moving out aggressively. I would think that you would want to, yeah, like pump up those gateway numbers. You would have wanted to do that earlier, so you could really just pump out the army you need to stop this, or maybe a Reaver or something. But Crazio is now making it to the double bridge here. It's just taking their natural now. They've got the floating buildings for extending that vision. Yeah, Stardust does not want to engage just yet. So slowly keeps getting pushed back here. This is like the patience of an AI, right? To be able to just keep moving this arc like this with like infinite attention, right? But now Crazio's actually kind of cornered the pack of Protoss here with the Vultures. This is not good. Crazio's actually picking up, well, I mean, it's not good for Stardust. Picking off a lot of the Zealots here. It's causing a bit of a problem. There's a second group here that's 3 reinforcements, but they're currently cut off. One tank does go down, but Crazio's still looking pretty strong here. And this is a bit of a weird spot of the map, too, because some of this is low ground and some of it is high ground, and it can kind of be weird to tell where the actual high ground and low ground begin. But yeah, Crazio is just marching across this map. It looks like the Protoss forces are kind of connected, but this spot is pretty close to getting cinched off here, where the tanks would be able to fire at anything trying to go from one side to the other. And the Vulture's finding some lone Zealots. There were no Dragoons down here. The Dragoons were really far away, so the Zealots picking off the Dragoons, or the Zealots rather. The Vulture's picking off the Zealots rather, if I could say the right unit words and everything. Yeah, meanwhile, Stardust has actually gone ahead and taken a 5th. The Stardust is just like, I don't care that you're slowly marching toward me. I'm just going to continue to expand as much as I want. Gateway count is looking like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 gateways right now. And how many factories do we have from Crazio? 4, it looks like. So surprising production coming out of Crazio just from 4 factories here, but Crazio's only at 115 at 116 and is really conserving those tanks a lot. Mainly just trading Vultures, I think, here. And Arbiters are coming out now for Stardust, but I don't know if Stasis is just being started now. So the only thing that they're really giving Stardust at the moment is Cloak, and there is at least one Goliath out that can fire some missiles. Do we have Charon boosters? I don't think we do yet, so the range is a little limited on that Goliath, but at the moment I don't think it's going to be too big of a problem. Meanwhile, that Arbiter, Stardust losing a lot of units here trying to come across this bridge. Needs to just sit back and wait for the Terran to try and come across and then go ahead and squash what they can, but Stasis finishes, and could have got a much better Stasis, I think. Just the 3 tanks and the Vulture, but you know, trying to do what it can do with this one Arbiter. And I thought there was a second Arbiter. There's the second Arbiter. Okay, I was gonna say, I thought there were more than one. Do we have Science Vessels yet? I don't think we have Science Vessels yet from Crazio. I don't see them here in the production queue. And there aren't any out on the field. We are getting weapons 1, so Science Facility is out. Maybe Crazio is just like, you know what? I don't really need Vessels and EMP, but now I'm not quite sure where Crazio's army went there, but it really like weakened up there at that choke point and just allowed Stardust to burst across here. Now Stardust being aggressive here, marching across, has the bases. But Crazy behind this do go ahead and take their mineral only and took the top left as well. Not finding any gas from it at the moment. And it is a big gas start, so I'm a little surprised to see that gas is not mining. Crazio's army supply now climbing up to 153 here, so this could be a stand here keeping the Protoss back, but now the Protoss Stardust goes ahead and finds this base with no defenders really, except for these 3 Vultures that have now shown up to try and take out these Dragoons, and now there's more Vultures on the way going ahead and chasing those Dragoons back. Looks like Stardust, instead of trying to march across to the main, is going to go ahead and head up to that top left, and Crazio is going to take the opportunity to march towards Stardust's main here, so maybe a little bit of a base trade here, but looks a lot better for Crazio if you're trading expansion for natural, right? But looks like Crazio's army actually is mostly pulling back, trying to save this, but yeah, there's just way too much Protoss there at the moment. Gonna go ahead and lose that expansion. But now the Protoss forces don't really want to engage here, and they're just gonna give themselves up for free. Very unfortunate to see from Stardust there. But now with the ground army gone, the Arbiters are free to join the rest of the army, which is battling over here again at this double bridge choke point here. I think they have enough energy for a stasis. We'll see if we get a couple. There's one stasis, but you really need to like dive in when you do that stasis. You've got the energy for another one. Drop it. Now we have the science vessels out. Is EMP researched? I don't think it is. Yeah, it does not look like it is, and so we don't have to worry about or the Protoss does not have to worry about EMP just yet, killing off that Arbiter energy. Or maybe there wasn't enough energy for a stasis just yet on the Arbiters there. Yeah, so the supply now heavily in favor of Crazio. Crazio taking another base, going ahead and getting that top left reestablished here. Oh, and there goes a stasis, and then a dive after the stasis. Nice to see that coordination. There's a lot of vultures here keeping the zealots off of the tanks with the bridge that was chosen, and yeah, there's just too much Terran here, I think. At this point, all of the bases on the map are taken by the players. Mains are mined out. Protoss has actually mined out the majority of their bases already, given that they expanded so early. They're also very low on minerals, so yeah, it's going to be hard for them to compete, I think, with Crazio at this point. Crazio is banking up the minerals. And actually, what's the worker count right now? 59 to 60. I'd say that's actually a little bit low for what you would want in a game, but the workers are very well spread out among the bases, I think. And so, while Crazio could have a little bit better of an economy than it currently has, it is doing just fine against Stardust here right now. And the stasis wears off. And the units back up a bit here. So now it's just a matter of can Crazio actually push across this bridge, and it looks like they are spilling out more and more across this lower bridge here, getting closer and closer to what was a mineral only and is now just a building only. Let me grab a quick drink here real quick. Pretty brave Arbiter coming out pretty far, but do we have EMP yet? Okay, good. There's EMP. I haven't seen one, noticed one get cast yet, but we do have it. They definitely have the energy for it, I think. Definitely, I think. Yeah, now here Crazio is marching across here. Yeah, now getting into the natural. This is getting cleaned up. So I think, yeah, Stardust just threw a lot of money away on units. And that is a lot of tanks to have to deal with too. It would take a really well-coordinated and well-positioned attack, I think, from a Protoss to really clean this up once it gets to this size. And Stardust just does not have the income because most of the bases are mined out, and it worked through all of those minerals and never built up a bank. To be able to deal with this push. So yeah, well played by Crazio there. Off the 2 factory. The 2 factory push never really ended. It was just a constant slow push forward, and then like it did get pushed back at one point, but Crazio never like defined a defending line. It just kept moving forward with new units until it was able to get back into position when Stardust targeted that top left base. And then it was unfortunate that Stardust didn't want to engage when those units were trapped and just kind of gave them up for free. So very nice, well played game here. Go ahead and go up to 8 times speed here as the last vestiges of the Protoss army get cleaned up here. Arbiters do a little dance, get a little couple stasis. Get down tonight, as the song goes. And with that, Crazio will take the win, and we will go into our second game of today. Actually, before I pull that over, let's lower the speed back down. There we go. Which sees Stardust again spawning as the orange Protoss down in the bottom left, Fighting Spirit, which is a map that is in the current map pool, going up against Zerg Monster, which is spawning as the white Zerg down in the bottom right. So we've got close positions here. Protoss versus Zerg. Zerg versus Protoss is usually a pretty exciting matchup to watch. Both in human versus human and AI play. Stardust going with an in-base pylon. Looks like Monster is going for a 12 hatchery. Sending a drone scout as well. Looks like it might have been checking for any proxies. And going for the cross scout, so it will not get the first scout. Meanwhile, Stardust getting the gas. It looks like it's going to be one gate into a core. There is the core. And we've got the spawning pool and the extractor on the way for a Monster. The Overlord in the end did scout where the base is, and the drone came in. Again, we see just like with Stardust and Crazio, Stardust and Monster here, Stardust doesn't really care about that drone until at least one Dragoon pops out. And when that Dragoon pops out, it goes ahead and cleans up the scout. Now, the probe did get chased out by the Zerglings of Monster. Trying to dive back in, get a little peek, but there is a Sunken there that does go ahead and cleans up the probe. Now, there's 2 Dragoons and 2 Zealots here. I don't think that's enough to take on 3 Sunkens just yet. Nice defensive posture here. 2 Evo Chambers already. Working on both attack and carapace upgrades here while getting the lair, so we'll see what Monster's aiming for here. Now getting some Zerglings. I'm not sure what the lair is for with the upgrades that are being researched right now or worked on, just because it seems like it's going for melee, but there really isn't any lair melees that I can think of off the top of my head. It's like we have a Queen's Nest, so might be just going for 2 base hive. Dive and attempt here by Stardust does some damage to the Sunkens here, but another couple of creep colonies going down just to make sure that Monster is able to survive. And now a hive is started while we're just on 2 bases. 1 gas even, not even going for an extra gas. I'm wondering if Monster is going for like some sort of really quick Zergling Ultra. This would be interesting to see here. Meanwhile, Stardust is going ahead, taking a 3rd base. We were at about the, what is that, like 9 o'clock or so? Now trying to do a dive in here. There's a fair number of Zealots, but there's a lot of Zerglings here. And with those extra creep colonies and Sunkens that were made, I was able to convince Stardust to back off a little bit there. Stardust going ahead, getting the 2nd and 3rd assimilator, it looks like. Continuing to pump some Zealots and get those units out there. What are so leg speed is just about to finish. Looks like they are still 000 Protoss units, and Monster testing the waters there, and now deciding to flood out with the Zerglings here, engaging with the Protoss army. Oh, and these Dragoons just get cut off. They can't retreat with the rest of the army, and they just get destroyed. A huge loss there for Stardust, and now the Zerglings are just out, and I think these are Cracklings right now. Yeah, they've got the upgraded attack speed. 2-2 is, if not finished, it's just about to. I'm pushing this all the way back here. There's no storm, no splash damage for Stardust, and wow, just the Zerglings just come out and start wreaking havoc. Those Dragoons if they didn't get caught like that, this could have been a little bit different, but still, just flooding nothing but Zerglings. Didn't even need Ultralisks. Dang, man, the power of Carapace upgrades, I guess. Now running deep into the main, they're trying to take out some cannons and units, but just continuing to flood Zerglings here. Going ahead, taking a third base, which Stardust is going to find there with that Observer. Now we've got some Speed Zealots on the way to the base here, but I think there's going to be too much. There's just too many reinforcements streaming out, and now this base is going to, the third is going to fall here for Stardust. Man, these Zerglings are scary. And now the Zergling flood back into the natural here. There's just so many of them. And so yeah, with that, Monster is going to win, also taking a fourth base now, so expanding behind this and such, that this could go for like a long game here with just these Zerglings. And it's crazy, it never built any other military unit because Stardust never got any Corsairs or anything. I mean, it could have got just Spore Colonies too to defend its overlords, but still, wow, very nicely played by Monster there. And we'll go ahead and get into our third game. Let's get that loaded up here. And for this game we have, it is a AI, or human versus AI, so we have Schnail spawning as the brown Protoss here, over on the right side of Moonglaive. And we have the anonymous AI, so this is a ranked game, spawning as the blue Terran up at the 12 o'clock. Now, Moonglaive is a map that's like sort of similar to, oh, what's the map that's on the pool now? Ascension. It's definitely different. I mean, like, you've got high ground here instead of like a low ground with a base and stuff, and all of the bases are along the outer edge. So this is like, I think, more of the maps where it's like all the bases are on the outside of the map, and then the middle of the map is just kind of like wide open path space, right? But I mean, it's similar to Ascension that it's a blue map, it's a 3-player map, it's got like the triangle set up for the mains. I don't know, humor me here, I guess. But we have ourselves another Protoss versus Terran, or Terran versus Protoss, depending on the perspective that you want to cheer from. Looks like the core is coming down here for the human player. I'm gonna go ahead and scout with this probe. That looks like an academy coming down from the anonymous AI, so maybe looking to do some sort of bio mech push here, and it's gonna be seen by the human player. Sees the barracks, sees the factory, sees the academy, and sees the lights on in the academy. If I were the human player, I'm not sure what I would be thinking here. I'd be like, okay, you've got an academy, you're getting an upgrade from the academy. That's a bit unusual to see. But not many Marines. You weren't doing constant Marine production, so. Our Schnail player here is going ahead and getting their natural. Stationing a few Dragoons out here. Now, it's also possible, too, that there's not going to really be a push. Yeah, and the barracks goes ahead and gets lifted here. Now we've got a second barracks coming, or sorry, an engineering bay actually coming down. So if you get range on the Marines, that can stop ranged goons from being able to hit the bunker freely. But typically, you don't go for that because that's literally all that upgrade is doing for you, right? So I think that upgrade is like 150, 150. So typically, you're not investing 150 gas and 150 minerals into that singular purpose. So that's why I thought when I saw the Academy and I saw it lighting green that we were going to see some sort of biomech move out, which there are timings for in the early-ish game in Terran vs. Protoss, or you could even do something like fake double or something. I don't think you would normally get an Academy for it, but I thought maybe we were going to see some medics mixed in or something and just try and make them push a little bit stronger on the bio front, but in the end we're not seeing anything like that. Snail player is going ahead and taking their third as well, so they went for 2 quick expos here in response to the Terran going ahead and taking an expo, so good to see that from the Snail player. Positioning up on the high ground here, and this engineering bay got a little bit too far out. Should be able to make it back home, I think, but maybe not. The Snail player definitely focusing it down, does manage to get it. So a new one will need to be built here. There are still paths out for Crazio along this outer edge here. Could come up and around. And there is actually a vulture that is out on the map here, but seems to be staying relatively close to the Protoss army and just monitoring it from the back as opposed to going out after any of the bases. I'm trying to snipe some probes. We did just have some reinforcements here. They are. On the minimap, I saw them there for the Protoss player. And so this game, we're seeing a different side of Terran here, where instead of being super aggressive off of 2 factories here, we do see the Terran players sitting back. And the tanks having fun unsieging and sieging in place. I guess when you individually control units, you spam that O button, right? We do have the 2 armories spinning here. Looks like they're getting 1-1. Could have some mines laid back in an interesting spot that's not going to get too much info to the player. And we do have actually, it looks like a vulture that was trying to get through those pylons there, but not able to do so. And so Crazio is going ahead and taking their third now. There's a lot of supply for the Snail player. I'm not exactly seeing... I guess it's in the Dragoons here. Now, Zealots are started in the shuttle. This might be a little bit late here as the Terran player is now pushing across here towards this third. And the Zealots actually get here just in time. The Terran army a little bit spread out here. Is able to crush the bit that went down onto the low ground, but the high ground portion of the army is still around. And actually a lot of forward turrets being placed here to help support against the shuttles. Yeah, there's enough Zealots here to just crush this outright, though there weren't enough vultures really. There's only 4 factories again for Crazio here. Or for Anonymous AI, rather. But from the buildings floating and everything, it very much, I believe, is Crazio playing this game. But the push was able to get right back to where it was as the Protoss retreated all the way back to their natural here. They have to be careful not to let Crazio get to this point where the high ground transitions. So that's going to be an advantage there for Crazio, and it looks like Crazio is able to get there uncontested. A large chunk of the Dragoons were down at the bottom there. There may have been Vulture that was causing a bit of a problem. Yeah, Crazio can get, or yeah, Crazio, I'm just going to call this AI Crazio for now, I guess. Can get up here. There's a lot of Zealots that are able to get on top of the tanks, and tanks do get crushed here. What are the upgrades on those units? So it looks like they're 1-1, or actually 2 1-1 right now, or 2-1-0. Shields is not upgraded, and armor level 2 is on the way. So yeah, the Protoss player is just about maxed out here. Looks like getting Stargate, so might be switching to carriers here. Now we do have Wraith coming out onto the field, targeting the observers. But yeah, again, just the Zealots able to get on top of the tanks. Now going ahead and pulling back. Meanwhile, there's a bit of Dragoons here trying to cause some damage here at the fourth of the AI. And actually, there's I guess a fifth and a sixth factory, but just not in the main. Another human player trying to clear out some of these mines that have been laid while the AI was a bit forward here, but now the AI is pushed back down towards its natural. A lot of those mines cleared out, but there is still a lot of blue out on the field. Protoss player, though, is still above in supply. Defense matrix on the Wraith, making the paper plane into a cardboard plane, I guess. It looks like the AI is trying to march on this expansion here again. Up at about the 2 o'clock or so position. Now we have the shuttles coming in, dropping some of their Zealots. Again, the Zealots able to get on top of the tank. Now we have a dropship coming in, and actually the AI taking this space up here. Still not able to bust down that pylon wall that's there. The human player engaging mostly with Dragoons. There are some Zealots on the tanks, and yeah, able to clean this up again. There just wasn't anything blocking the Protoss army from getting on top. But there's only about a 24 supply difference between the two players, which I think is very good for the Terran player here. And one thing I will say too is the human player is doing a very good job of spending their money. They have a very high gateway count here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 gateways right now. They've got the 2 Stargates. They've got, I thought they were going to maybe switch to carriers, but they've got the Arbitral Tribunal. They just have not added the Arbiters in yet. Did they get... They have Stasis, they have Recall, and they have Storm. There was a High Templar at one point I saw, but only one. Here come the Arbiters. Okay. Looks like one is maybe trying to get itself positioned to be able to do a recall. Couple of Marines and a SCV dancing back there. There's also a dropship of the AIs over there, curiously. Another dive by the Protoss player. And I even had a Dragoon in one of the shuttles. Gonna be able to thin this force out. I might be able to clean it up. This SCV is desperately trying to repair the tank, but are unable to do so. And definitely thinned it out, but there's still forces, more of the AI than there were in the past. And now the 2 players are getting closer in supply. There was a recall over here that I didn't catch in the moment that the recall happened, but able to clean up some of the workers that were here, now taking out that command center. The AI is now down to pretty much just 1 mining base, so we'll see if the AI's efforts really peter out at all. Meanwhile, the human player does have 4 mining bases. Either never touched the gas or the gas got destroyed here. I can't tell what the gas amount on that geyser is. But still has this large force here that's right on the high ground cusp that the human player is gonna have to deal with. That's a full energy Arbiter here. I don't think we've seen any stasis yet. The Arbiter taking free shots on the units here. And there we do have a stasis. After the stasis, we have an EMP. So going to be able to push this back with that stasis. A decent number of zealots, but our human player here, Snail, is running low on minerals, but the AI is running even lower. They've got an almost even map split, but I think it's not quite even. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's like a little bit in the human player's favor, but I think they've just like, they don't have enough to deal with this. They're trying to get some more arbiters. They need, and they're trying to pump out like another round of mostly zealots now. Look at that APM from the human player too. That is nice and high. A lot of energy on this one Arbiter here, but there's really no good juicy stasis to go for. There goes the Arbiter energy as well with that EMP. But really, until the production gets wiped out or the other mining bases of the human player get wiped out, like, there's no reason for the human player to tap out just yet. Sure, the AI managed to score taking down this natural, but that doesn't necessarily impact the ability of our Snail player here to have an income and to produce an army, right? Meanwhile, the AI was able to get this base reestablished, which it desperately needed to. It's got this one running here too, so it's on 2 bases. And it is really trying to go for the kill here. Finally gets a turret down here to deter the Arbiters. Snail player trying to keep those units alive, and that just as a round of zealots comes out, goes ahead and charges into those tanks. So I think at this point the Snail player is just trying to keep this force back and whittle it down slowly and hope that our anonymous AI here runs out of resources to gather and build army. But now, starting to march up that ramp is the AI's tanks. They've got some vultures back into the mix here. Gateways are starting to fall. It is not looking good for the human player here. You know, are they doing anything? They do have a couple of gateways over here at the other main. I feel like they could try to transition into that other main, throw down a whole bunch of gateways. Maybe to try to play out from there, but nice defense matrix on the vulture to keep it alive longer. Now the AI is splitting off here. Gotta start cleaning up some of the other bases as well. But going after the mined out bases, there's only 2 left for the human player. And the AI is actually almost mined out. There's just 1 mineral patch left. If the human player can hang on just a little bit longer, they might be in a position where they can win. Human player is building back here at the other main. Just leaving vultures to try and kill off this Stargate. But that Arbiter is going to pop out before that gets finished, I think. So now we can see from the blob of dancing blue on the minimap, the fighting is happening over here now. And the AI actually left the Arbiter tag. Well, is killing it with 1 vulture. But I think that's a bit of a mistake. It's allowing Arbiters to be produced over here at the other main where Stargate was dropped. Now the AI may be a little bit unsure of spending its last minerals here on how exactly to handle this push. It needs to minimize its losses as much as possible. And here we have 4 Arbiters coming out. Getting free shots on the tanks. Getting stasises. There was no EMP and now a recall on the other side of the army. Cleans up the tank. Just got the vultures. Cleaned up the tanks. Wow. Now there is still a bit of army here, but just waiting to clean up these vultures. As they come out of stasis. Another recall directly on top of the tanks. And with that, like the last of the army of the AI, it's just getting cleaned up here. No production at all from them. Now with no production possible for the anonymous AI, I think this is game over. There's 2 Marines, 3 Vultures, 320 Spider Mines at one point there. Jeez. Yeah, and with this now, the human player just needs to work through and clean this up. A mine does manage to get a Dragoon kill there. Yeah, very well played there by the human player. Just getting the Terran AI here to just mine out and run out of gas, basically. Just ran out of steam, unfortunately. And there was a moment there where it tried to lift the factory that died, and then the AI went ahead and tapped out. So very, very, very good game there. And we'll go ahead and get our 4th game loaded up here, which might be our last depending on how long it runs. We've got another AI versus AI game here on a blue map. Yet again, but this one is a different blue map. This is Jade with the low ground main and the high ground natural. We've got Monster spawning as the red Zerg up at the top left, and we've got Crazio spawning as the white Terran down in the bottom right. So now we've got a TVZ going on here. So we've had a PvP, ZVP, a TVP again, and now a TVZ. It's a pretty forward supply depot there. Looks like Crazio is going to be going for a wall. Both players go ahead and sending out their scouts. Now poor SCV's like, oh, I popped out on the wrong side of the wall and there's this bug spinning on me. The Marine wanted to help and I was like, nah, you deal with it. I'm not paid enough. I'm gonna back up here. Yep, and the SCV does get picked off by the drone. So the drone doesn't get into scout, but does get the worker that was unfortunately left out there on the wrong side of the wall. Yeah, and I don't think this is Ling tight. The Marines can scoot through here, and Zergling should be able to scoot through too. It's not Ling tight up against the terrain there. Go back onto the production tab here. You can see, so we've got 3 hatcheries. Now we're getting a lair, so we might be seeing some 3-hatch Mutalisk or 3-hatch Hydra here. There was a Zergling knocking on the door. It was answered by a couple of SCVs here. And you know, I don't know if it's something with this game or what, but I just got a craving for Takis. No, this is not sponsored or anything. I just got a craving for them and thought I would share that. So now we do have a move out here happening for Crazio. Pretty decently sized bio ball with Vulture. I don't think it's going to be able to do too much here as there are a few Sunkens. There's one interestingly placed back by the mineral line. I guess that's to protect in case the Vultures were to try and run back here out of the range of the Sunkens, so that way they can't just get free kills on the workers. Same with the Marines. So yeah, Crazy's going to have to settle for parking out front though, because there really isn't anywhere that I can go. We do have the Spire just about to finish. They're going to try and dive in here, but and not really full committing and costing itself a few Marines here. Now we do have a siege tank out. Needs to get that siege tank into range. So now we do have the Mutalisks out. They're dancing in a nice little circle there. One Sunken colony falls. I think there's enough. How many? 8 Mutalisks right now. That should be enough to kind of clean this up. Yeah, the last of the anti-air falls, and then the Mutalisks are able to take out that tank. Medics are forced to run home while the Mutalisks go ahead and chase after the Vulture until they're able to get it. And then goes ahead and takes a third and does a little victory dance, apparently above the hatchery here. Yeah, Crazio is still just on the one base right now, going ahead and getting a starport. Not expanding to their natural just yet. A much larger force coming out this time for Crazio. We'll see how the Zerg deals with it here. Mutalisk Cloud has just been staying home and really being defensive. Looks like Lurkers are about to be on the way. There is one Comsat with a decent amount of energy here, and the Lurker egg does get found. Lurker gets killed before it can burrow. Preemptive scan there, but now we've got Lurkers. The Lurkers get picked off before they can burrow again. Nice targeting there, and the tank able to be saved by those SCVs. Now Crazio marching in here with the Marines and the Goliaths. Able to take out this natural here. Monster might be in a bit of trouble. Where are the Mutalisks, though? The Mutalisks were just out in the middle cutting off reinforcements. I think Monster really needed those to be part of the fight here, but the fight might be petering out. Nice use of the ramp there by Crazio, taking out those Zerglings. Now with Science Vessels out, don't really need to worry too much about scans, but now the Mutalisks joining in here, causing some problems. There's barely any anti-air here. There's 2 Marines and a Goliath. And so while the natural was lost, this push should be ended here. There is a third being built here, or attempting to be built here, by Crazia. The workers, though, being forced to run away by a single Zergling. And we've got Defilers now out on the field for Monster. Now we start to get the Dark Swarm out. Gonna run in here to the third of Crazio. It is going to fall this time. More Zerg flooding out onto the map. This fourth has been upper, but it looks like it did get hit at some point. And Valkyrie being chased on screen here. Kind of funny to see, but now we've got the push into the natural of Crazio. But where is the Defiler? There it is, and there's the Dark Swarms that it's going to need to bust into this natural. There's a few Hydralisks in the mix, which, I mean, Crazio's units will benefit from the defense of the Swarm as well, I think from the Hydras at least, but... And when the Swarms run out, Crazio able to clean this up and stay alive, but just barely managing to do so. Another attempt at taking a base being thwarted here by Monster. It has the bird circling there in the way, so the command center was off center, and then unburrowed and took out the SCV that was building it. And now we've got Swarms again in the natural here. The Zerglings getting close to those tanks, taking them out. And even the one on the ramp that was sort of like the hero tank of the last attempt, and it looks like this natural is going to fall. And I think this is going to be the game here for Monster. Unless Crazy can find some way to turn it around, but I think at this point it is too little too late. Yeah, Crazy now, or Monster now cleaning this up, and so very strong play there from Monster. Good pushes from Crazy that almost got into the main of the Zerg, but just sort of petered out right at the end, unfortunately. Yeah, and then Monster here will clean it up, and I think that will be our cast for today. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate the support. Links in the description below for the SSCAIT Discord, for the Schnail app if you want to try your hand at playing these AIs. You can always support the channel too just by watching, clicking that subscribe button, clicking that like button if you enjoyed the cast. Thank you so much for tuning in again. And until next time, everybody, take care.